All righty. Well, welcome back, everybody. So last week was amazing. Great week, great week. Everything acted out as we expected. So this week, with that momentum, we're expecting the same things continue going up, take place. As usual, we're gonna start with the dollar. All right. So again, dollar important to understand what the dollar is doing. Once you understand what the dollar is doing, you get a sense of the market as a whole and what it should be doing. Even when it's doing is being if one asset class is being a deviant and doing something it shouldn't, you can still have somewhat of a laid back expectation or have a little bit more scrutiny on that pair that's doing something opposing to what the dollar's doing. So dollar going up, everything should be going down. Just simply means risk on and risk off. So dollar's up, everyone's pounding money to dollar. It makes the market a risk off scenario. So typically stuff should be going down. So I know part of you are probably thinking, well, what happened to Nasdaq and why it's going up? That's the whole point of what I just said. You gotta look at those type of moves with more scrutiny whenever you're seeing things like um, dollar having momentum and Nasdaq still having the same momentum. Okay, but on the grand scheme of things, right? If you really look at this, what we've been in a real big consolidation since what is this April 2025. So we've been in this weekly consolidation. So you can say dollars consolidating, but I'm looking very closely now. After we had this drop aggressively here, taking out these lows, ran up higher, we broke structure, and we since retraced into this weekly order block. And I've been mentioning for the past 2 weeks that this level was going to bring some momentum that'll then take us into these highs. So yeah, especially once we have a break of structure, you want to see that pull back. And when it pulls back, where it's going to pull back to? Either a pull liquidity or a fair value gap or some type of PD array. But you want to see a pullback. And since we got a 50% pullback, we've since hit this weekly order block. So I like that. I like how we hit it, and we reject it. So now on the weekly chart, we've created a swing low on the weekly chart with strong momentum here on the dollar, strong bullish momentum. So I want to see this next week carry through with the same momentum. Especially, I just saw a headline. I don't know if it's true, but I think Iran just attacked some nuclear power plant in the UAE. Could be wrong. I need to double check that. But if that's the case, obviously things are going to be back escalated. And I don't think this war is over. Again, Iran has said over and over again that the U.S. will not achieve what they couldn't achieve militarily, diplomatically. So now we've been in these conversations. Are we really going to yield anything? I doubt it. Hopefully they do. But I'm just saying, when you're negotiating with terrorists or a country like that, you can expect the unexpected to happen. So, especially after you pretty much eliminated most of their leaders, it's not going to be an easy we surrender. That being said, we might see dollar continuing moving higher, and it's already showing that technically. So I like these highs here. Let's go on the daily chart. Mind you, this was all call last week, guys. So, but this is just a continuation of that move. So daily chart again, we have this level here. I guess you can call it a high. Just a little candle opened up here and then drops. But I want to see us clear that out. Okay. So I want to see us take this out, and then fully covering this range. This is a volume imbalance from here. Market's close here, open up down here. So I want to see us fully close that in, and then eventually make our way towards these highs up here. So that's my expectations on dollar. We go on the 4-hour chart. Let's touch that a little bit. Obviously, it's been moving, so we could expect a pullback. So maybe some type of like support and resistance play where price drops lower. I like how we have this little volume imbalance here, little gap in price. I like to see price maybe use that area as support and then go higher. Plus, there's a nice little low here on the 4-hour chart. So again, when you're trading, ideally, if you're looking for those pullbacks should be associated with a run on liquidity somewhere. And the fact that we have this 4-hour nice little swing low here, I would like to see that pullback, take out some liquidity, then continue higher. Okay, and eventually, again, go back to the day chart one more time. Eventually, even see this over here, this is a fair value gap here. Okay, so if I was to just delete that for a second, you see there's a little space in between price there. So we can still make our way back there. Yes, we already traded there, already balanced it out, but with this momentum here, I would expect eventually to reach here. Okay, so that's kind of where I have my eyes on for this week. Do we find more momentum to go here? And if we do we take out these highs? I would like to see that. I don't see this turning around. Okay. Now we're gonna go into currencies real quick. Oh, and then one more thing on the dollar. You see this here? So this is a new day opening gap. I've talked about this before, and I'll talk about it one more time. You see this gap between 18 o'clock and 1945 on Thursday? That's a little close and open of the market on the dollar. So this is going to be a very significant area that we're going to watch. If price takes out liquidity here, uses that support and starts taking off, that'll be super valid for a movement higher, which we expect then euro and other assets to drop. So essentially, watch this low here, like we mentioned, and then watch this new opening gap. Now, if we start getting momentum below this, then it could use it as resistance to drop back here before they're even taking off. But I'm bullish on the dollar regardless. Here will be the first level I'll be considering longs on the dollar if we can even get down here. Okay. And keep in mind, one thing I did not do, guys, here, which I should have done, is showed you guys the Forex calendar, your news calendar. So make sure you always check that, forexfactor.com. That should give you an idea of what news is coming up, and it's important to know that. So Monday specifically has no news. So I won't expect anything too exciting. You should expect volatility to kick in whenever there's high impact news or low impact news. If that doesn't exist, then you're better off just understanding the markets may not be as volatile. Okay, so that's down dollar. Watch his lows, but we're staying bullish. Then we're gonna go to euro. Go to our weekly chart. Again, beautifully done. Again, as mentioned, I mentioned how I want to see price last week before this thing printed. I want to see price take out these lows, and we're able to get that. So now on a weekly basis, this looks like this low could be targeted. It has strong momentum. So if we do pull back, this is a volume imbalance on a weekly chart. Maybe we tap into that. I don't know if we go all the way up here, but if we do, cool. Tap into that, and I'll still expect this to then reject and take us lower. My eyes on these lows, which is similar to what the dollar is doing, just opposing, right? Because again, these are inversely related. Daily chart. Daily chart, just again, higher, then yanked price lower. We do have a fair value gap here. We'll see if that wants to hold price, or if it wants to even go a little bit higher into this weekly volume imbalance. And understand everything, the way you know which one is going to respect, it all depends on the time of the day it gets there. So if it runs up into that level right at the start of New York session, then I know it's probably going to reject, right? But if it gets there towards the end of the New York session and stops right here, then I'll have to wait and see what the next day does. The next day might just keep pushing price higher. Okay, but until then, all I'm looking for is this has created a nice little range. Can we get a pullback? The reason why I'm not the strongest on this could support price. Don't get it twisted. It could drop price. I like to see a 50% retracement, and this is just not 50%. If you can eyeball this and tell, this is below 50%. Typically, you want price to get into a premium for you to sell. So that's why I'm giving it some room for maybe price could just make its way in here and then still reject. And I'll still be looking for this low right here and these lows over here. Forward chart. Forward chart. Now, the forward chart, you can then grab this range, though, however. So this is why that daily level is still significant. Look at it from forward chart. High to low. Now, all of a sudden, that daily fair value gap makes sense because in this 4-hour range, above 50% is that daily level. So this could easily hold and drop price. And if we see that, I wouldn't want to see price come back above here. Okay. So what will make me turn bearish? I mean, bullish on first of all, it'll be hard. But if we get a run above this weekly volume imbalance, like, this high right here, swing high on the 4-hour chart, if we get a run above here, which also run that volume above that volume imbalance, then maybe I'll switch sides. But until then, I don't see a reason like this to me just bearish. It's all about pullback and then drop. Very simple. Okay, and that's that. And maybe we can look at pound real quick. Pound, again, same thing. Also, there's something interesting here. Look at this right here. See how beautifully that contained price? This weekly fair value gap. Just because price trace through it is not going to be ignored. If we're still in that vicinity, especially if it's in the premium, meaning from this high, this range from high to low, all right, this volume imbalance is, well, this fair value gap is in the 50% of the range. So if price pulls back to that, this could be used and revisited to then drop price, which is exactly what we see here. I'll take these other drawings off. But I do like how we traded outside this weekly fair value gap here. I like a close below that. So that is strong. Again, that tells me these lows are probably going to get hit. And we'll probably see these lows as well get hit. I don't know how quickly they do it, but my eyes are on both lows on pound. So very, very simple one-way traffic. You go to the daily chart. Again, maybe we get some type of pullback into this daily fair value gap. That would be great. Still expecting a run below here. And this is also a low resistance liquidity run, right? There's been no real disruption of any lows here. So I like this level a lot. Forward chart. So yeah, you can see, look, it looks very clear on the forward chart. Again, look how smooth this level is, right? So traders see this as demand area where they want to buy. Well, I think price is going to run through that. So I like this smoothness here. So that being said, we could get a pullback. I like this level here. I want this to ideally act as a breakaway gap. A little bit deeper lesson, but essentially a breakaway gap is just paired with a run, a fair value gap paired with a run on the previous low. What do I mean? See how it broke this low here? This move, boom, broke this low and we created a fair value gap. When you see that, you really don't want, ideally, price should not really come and cover this whole gap here. It could just go and trade into a little bit and then drop. So this would be like a breakaway gap. I want to see this act as a breakaway gap. And it's really just a fair value gap that's paired with a break of structure to the left. I don't really want to even see a break and retest. That's basic retail knowledge, and I don't really like to trade with that thought process. So I wanted to actually fell short of going higher and retesting these lows. You can just touch the mid and lower point of this portion of the fair value gap, and then give us that drop. That's what I want to see, and I run to here. Okay. 1 hour chart. Again, I like these highs here. Can they take that? That'll be cool. Then again, still consider those drops. That's what I'm expecting on pound. So it's very, very straightforward, guys. Very smooth. I like both pound and euro. And just to add a thought process, one thought process here, Euro GBP. When you're looking at trading one of the two, you want to look at Euro GBP. This is a good way to use your crosses, right? So if you take a look at Euro GBP, which one is gaining momentum? Let's go on a weekly chart. Euro is gaining momentum. So that being said, who is going to be weaker? The pound. If Euro is gaining momentum of the rest of the pound, then ideally we should look for those shorts in the pound more aggressively because Euro has gained some strong momentum now. Look on that daily chart, look at the momentum Euro is gaining. It's going to run these highs. So if that's the case, pound is going to be weaker going into this week. So again, this just is another thought process to add. You want to look at your Euro GBP, look at those pairs whenever you're trying to decide which one you trade against the dollar. See which one's weaker. So for example, Australian, New Zealand, AUD, NZD, compare those if you're trying to compare taking a trade in AUD USD or NZD USD. All right. So again, no extra cost there, free 99. All right, and then let's go to indices. After indices, I will give it back to second operator. Indices. Where are we at? So we start with NASDAQ and oil. Just oil. I just want to look at oil one more time, guys. Sorry. See, oil is just still consolidating. Again, I said these highs are probably going to get hit. It's just been consolidating. Daily chart. Ran to this order block down here. This down close candle. Ran into that. Boom. Rejected. Maybe this acts an order block next. And then we push higher. But my eyes are still on these highs. These are equal highs. Eventually, I want to see if this ever gets tagged. And I think they could. Obviously, depending on if a deal is made, which I already expressed my thought process on that. Okay. So NASDAQ, weekly chart, we created fair value gap. Good. So that being said, I want to see eventually price make its way lower in here. Eventually. Can it happen this week? Can this week just take off and go higher? It could. But now we have this weekly fair value gap. We have something to reference. And maybe we see a run in here. Let's go on a daily chart. And keep in mind, this is just a runaway train. So anything you do opposing buys is essentially going against the trend. All right. Even though I feel the tide potentially turning, but you got to be careful. Just call highs. You can't just expect something to be the high of the week or high of the month, high of the year, whatever it might be. There's no need. That's a fool's game. So we try to call the highs of the week has it doesn't matter. You can call the high of the week, but to call the high of the year, the month, it's very, very tough, especially if the market has not given you any proper break of structure. So in this case, while I would like this to be the high, I like the price to see price turn around, and very well could be. I have to understand that this is still a bullish trend. There's nothing that has changed except for our underlying context that dollar is going higher and this needs to eventually turn around. Apart from that, can't just expect a huge sell-off. We need to see structure show us that it wants to do that. Okay. So daily chart, we have this fair value gap here. We'll see if this holds. But I also like these lows here. I like this low. 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart, we have this fair value gap here. I like how price traded into and rejected. Maybe it revisits this level. Maybe it goes a little higher and then still gives us a sell-off. Again, I am trying to go against the trend, but I'm telling you, I'm not going to hold on to that opinion strongly because I understand that this is still a bullish market. So I just want you to really understand that as much as I'm looking for some sells, I'm also explaining to you how it is dangerous, especially if you're going to do max leverage to try to call the top in the market. You're better off catching the meat of the move. All right. So, but I like these lows here. 1-hour chart. And on the 1-hour chart, again, structure looks good, guys. Like I will stay bearish on this thing for me. As long as we stay below this, like the price can come back up one more time, but I want to see us stay below this order block. If we can, then I think we see it push lower. And I'll really be bearish if we close on a 1-hour basis below this fair value gap. This should then act as resistance and then give us that move below here, and then maybe down here. So ideally, guys, again, this could be the top, but we're using context. If we trade above this level here, which is also 1-hour fair value gap, a little closer. If we trade above that, then my bias goes back to continuously going higher. But as things exist going into the week, as long as we stay below 29,600, I will expect some type of sell pressure, selling to stay in the market. And if we close below this 1-hour fair value gap, that would be ideal. So use this as resistance. And then look at these lows. You have this low here, and then, just find our way lower. So with context, as long as they below 29,600, then I am expecting those sells. And I'm just going to briefly touch on 30 because 30, look at this market maker sell model it gave. Like, look at this. It has these lows it wants to take. Look at how, and then if you look at 30 never ran above this, didn't go back to all-time highs. Meanwhile, NASDAQ did all that. So that's why, like, underlyingly, I've been waiting for this stuff to start dropping. And the fact that 30 did not have the momentum to go higher, that is a good indication. I like to use 30 as the barometer of the market. Same way I use dollar to judge. The fact that 30 was struggling to go higher, I am waiting for that selling pressure to kick in on indices. So 30 did have a run above this highs here, but it's, it ran above these highs, but this looks ugly overall. It looks ugly, but it does have a weekly fair value gap we can go back into. And if we do that, we're going to take out these lows and maybe even go lower and look at this daily fair value gap here. So I'm just going to draw this out. And I'm almost done here because we got to drop in this. All right, cool. So, boom. So I'm watching 30 and I want to see this drop. You want a 4-hour chart? Again, it took out these highs. I really wish it did it with a body instead. I mean, just whipped up there, cool. So for me to again stay bearish, we got to stay below this far fair value gap. As long as stay below 49,000, call it 800, I'm expecting that run lower. If we start trading back above that, then that changes the whole trend and we'll probably take the size out. Okay, but if we stay below here, boom, I want you to drop lower. 1-hour chart, again, beautiful. You can come back, take out these little wicks in here, dance around, but I don't want to see you start trading above 49,800. If we get above this fair value gap here, forget it. We're probably use that support and then go higher. Okay, S&P, lastly, S&P weekly chart. We have a volume imbalance here. I want to see price find its way lower into this volume imbalance. Daily chart, I like on S&P, we actually ran below this daily fair value gap. So price is then permitted to maybe go higher, touch this as an order block, and then drop. But I like how we created this level. And honestly, my eyes will be going all the way down here to that volume balance. That's why I see right now, unless we take out these highs. 4-hour chart. Now, the week is going to open. So I want to see this act as order block, but depending on how the week opens, it could gap up higher, gap up lower aggressively. But ideally, we'll see this up close candle, and we're gonna look at the price action on lower time frame. We'll see this acts as an order block, and then delivers this price is lower, especially have kind of like a trend line going on here. See that? So the basic retail knowledge would tell them to buy on taps here. So the fact that we have this move here, maybe we push just a little higher into this 4 hour order block, then drop. 1 hour chart, again, rates got these highs here and it drops. So this whole price action here, this nice little swing here, I ideally want to see that stay in play. 15-minute chart. Again, maybe we can just at most at the peak. At the most, okay? Go in here. And then still give us that drop. So I'm really expecting sales on indices overall. All right. But that's it. I kind of probably went over time a little bit. So I'm going to give the second operator. I hope that was helpful, and we'll see how this week plays out going into Monday. There's no news, but the rest of the week there's some news. So we'll see how price picks up. But I want to see indices drop. Let's see if we finally get that this week. And I'm done. You can take over.
Solid breakdown, man. Probably pretty much touched up on everything. So let me see. Share my screen. Share screen. Take over. Entire screen. What screen is this? Alrighty. All right, cool. That was good, guys. All right, so just a quick recap on kind of what happened last week. We had these equal highs that I had been eyeing ever since we came into this daily for a value gap and this weekly for a value gap. My eyes were at these highs, okay? These equal highs. So we finally took these equal highs, okay? And now we have dropped aggressively, closing with a bearish engulfing, okay? So now it's kind of many things I'm looking at on the weekly. You see how the weekly is closing, okay? It's really failing to close above this high right here, okay? So potentially this could be a CRT in play, and a CRT is a candle range theory. So essentially you're going to treat each candle as a range, the low and the high, and then mark out the high and the low, and then you're just watching to see if price closes above the high. If it doesn't, you're going to drop down to lower time frames, and then you get into the technicals and all of that. Well, the weekly closing like this, okay, it's showing me that the bulls are losing strength to keep pushing up. Okay, these are a lot of dojis, and even just the last 2 weeks, look at how they're closing. Okay, so now if I go down to the 4 hour, so now how I'm gonna treat this week, okay, it's I like to operate off of a if then scenario. Okay, so what I would like to see, I guess scenario number one would be for the bearish case. Ideally, I would like to see price probably come and take out this low. Okay, we can take out liquidity. Then after we take out liquidity, I would like for us to retrace. Why do I want for us to retrace? Because we've just had a clean drop, no bulls in sight. Okay, so this was one clean expansion. So at some point, we're gonna have to come up and either go test this high to make a higher high, or we're going to form a lower high. Okay, we have to create market structure. Okay, so if price, for me to be bearish, I would like to see price maybe take out this low, maybe pull back to the 50% or OTE. Okay, and I would just like for price to, once the price gets up here, for price to start breaking down on the higher time frame, maybe on the hour. We can also look for the model, a market structure shift, and then we can look to go target these lows over here, and then fill in this imbalance, and then we have this low, and then this daily for value gap, like Alasa talked about. Okay, also with that, if I go down to the 4 hour really quickly, you will see down the 4 hour over here, we had this nice market structure shift. This was the high that pushed price down to make a lower low. We close above that. Okay, but as you can see, we never really had a nice, this was a decent pullback, well, we never really had a nice pullback. So with this being our range, we want to treat this as our range. You see that we really are in premium. Okay, So ideally, this 50% is sweet, is a sweet spot. Okay. So that's the bearish case. Okay. Now the bullish case, if there is to be bulls, is I'll probably like for everyone that has been buying this to get taken out. Okay. So that means we have this liquidity over here. We have this liquidity over here. And then we also have this low over here. Okay. So maybe a bullish case is maybe price comes, takes out this low, and price keeps selling. Maybe takes all this out. Okay. This would be the last swing low before this move. This is the true low that caused price to keep going all the way up onto to take this high over here. So we'll probably take all this out, and then it'll just be a case of us not forming that lower high that I'm anticipating for a bearish case, and I was just going to take this high and keep on pushing up. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at for 30. So just we're going to see how the let's pull up the forex calendar really quickly. So Colossus said, yeah, no news on Monday. Tuesday is calm. Wednesday we have FOMC. Okay, and then that's really it. Yep. So that's really it, FOMC, and then obviously you have to watch out for Trump. He just open his mouth and say anything. But that's what I'm looking at for US 30. Okay. Let me now go to gold. I want to use this chart. Let me see. Okay, fair enough. Okay. So for gold, I'm pretty much bearish gold, especially with dollar being so bullish. Then just with that, you can kind of just read institutional order flow. We have this daily fair value gap over here. Okay. This daily fair value gap supported price to go make a higher high. Okay. So this right here is significant. The moment we disrespect it, nice bearish engulfing. Okay. We end up dropping. We have left equal lows. Okay. That price is going to come back at a future date. We left equal lows over here. Before taking this, price had a nice pullback above 50%, almost close to OTE. It's probably like a 62. But look at how price pokes into this daily fair value gap and uses that as an inversion. Okay, so now price has formed that swing high, and now the clear target are these lows, and then price can probably get to this low and then this wick over here. Okay, so pretty much bearish. It could be a case where gold takes out these lows. Gold takes out these lows and then maybe wants to retrace. Okay, we did create this imbalance on Thursday. Okay, so price could retrace, obviously high to low, above 50%. Look for sales, and then like I said, we can go take out these lows. If I was to analyze this on a bullish scenario, it's tough. Let me see. I don't see any bulls. The only bulls I can see is obviously price taking out these lows and then maybe retracing, especially since we have FOMC on Wednesday. Maybe the high of the week can be formed on Wednesday. So maybe we take out these lows Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we start buying. Tuesday starts consolidating, Wednesday comes, and then we have that nice drop and the volume to go take out these lows. But yeah, so that's what I'll see for buys, possibly buys at these lows. Okay, so because there's a lot of liquidity resting here. Well, let me see. Yeah, I think that's all I got for y'all, man. We are having a free webinar in 10 minutes. Um, if you have not signed up, you can go to webinar.theequityheist.com. Let me talk about Bitcoin really quickly because it's something I've been watching. So we have this nice monthly fair value gap over here. We have now poked into it. If I go to the weekly, with this weekly closing, we have now formed a swing high. Okay. If I go down to the daily, you can see we made this high, lower high, and we're making lower lows. Okay. So for prices to really stay bearish, we just gotta respect these lower highs, these swing highs that have been formed. Okay. But we do have a lot of liquidity, basically a trend line liquidity. I look at all of this as liquidity. Where did that go? Look at all this as liquidity. Okay. And then we do have equal lows down here as well. Okay. Weekly. And even on the weekly, we have the equal lows right here as well. Okay. So let's see how strong this monthly fair value gap can be. And as well with this being a monthly fair value gap, we also have a breaker, okay, on the monthly. This is the low. This is the structure low that push price up to make a higher high and take out this high. So the moment we've closed beneath it, if we're truly bullish, this low should not have been taken out. Okay. So the fact that we have closed beneath it and now we're basically just retesting it, and this is the monthly fair value gap, and I just showed you how the daily's looking. Okay. I'm leaning towards bears for Bitcoin. Okay. That's all I got, man. Let me stop sharing. Shoot. All right, cool. All right, so guys, any questions y'all got? You can talk to us in the Discord. Like I said, we're having a webinar soon. Webinar.theequityheist.com. Go ahead and join if you got time. And yeah, we'll talk to y'all Wednesday for the midweek review.